Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin,
I'm Mason.
and we have a decent amount to talk about. But at the same time, not really. Nothing major happened. I'm just kidding. Are you kidding me? That new episode of Kenobi? Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Like son of a bantha, bro. Like we have so much to talk about. Like that new episode of Kenobi was out of this galaxy. It was everything, almost everything that I wanted it to be. And I've been wanting flashbacks. I've been wanting flashbacks so bad. In the opening, all right, spoiler alerts. All right, this is going to be nothing but Kenobi episode 5 spoilers. So if you haven't watched yet, don't watch our episode now. If you're in the live stream, you've been warned. All right, let's break it down. So we open to a wonderful sight of Coruscant. Now, since we've seen live action stuff coming back, we've been to Coruscant a couple of times now. The first time that we went back to Coruscant was actually in Rogue One and in the flashback, but now we're seeing it in Kenobi, Book of Boba Fett. We'll probably see it again in Andor, which I think we actually do see in the new Andor trailer. But we have a shot. It opens up to Anakin facing the other way, and we see him turn around, and there he is. Now, they didn't use it. I don't know if they attempted to use the de-aging process, but I think one reason why they didn't, and this is something that we can definitely talk about, Mason, is he has a different build than what he had back in 2002, 2001. So he's not, he's not as young as he used to be. He looks a lot different. So if you added that, for example, it's like putting the de-aging thing on Mark Hamill for Mando season 2 finale, and it would just like put younger version of his face on his now body, and it just wouldn't look right.
It'd look a little weird. Yeah, for sure.
And I saw online, some people have already done the de-aging process or whatever, and it looks great. He looks younger, but it doesn't match his body, and there's a reason for that. So it kind of makes sense why that would have been harder, because at that point they could have just done what they did in the Book of Boba Fett, where they used an actor that looked like Mark Hamill, and then they just did a deep fake and then put Mark Hamill's face onto this young actor that looked like him back when the actual timeline is set during that time. So I can see why they didn't do that. I mean, I wasn't bothered by it. Some people are, and we got a great practice scene. But at the same time, we also got a lesson out of it, which shows, even now, Anakin being this Dark Lord of the Sith and being a Sith Lord, he still hasn't mastered the art of patience. And that's something he's always struggled with. And this is a fine example of him being Obi-Wan's apprentice, and then going all the way to where we are in the present timeline with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and a Vader just not being patient.
I really like the mental battle between Kenobi and Vader within this episode, where Kenobi immediately sort of at one point calls back to the fact that, like, what's the quote? Darth Vader will be coming, and what's her name goes, how do you know? Because he's too impatient for a siege.
Yeah. And the fight, definitely does mirror the fight at Mustafar. And as soon as I saw them training and practicing, I was like, I'm definitely going to grab my lightsaber and do a video, because my younger brother and I used to have lightsaber fights like this all the time. Our favorite movie as kids was Revenge of the Sith, and my brother and I would watch the fight of Mustafar over and over and over again. And we would just go outside. We would pretend to be Obi-Wan and Anakin, and it was phenomenal. It was a blast, and that was a huge part of my childhood. So seeing two of my childhood heroes on screen again was incredible, and I will always cherish of being at the red carpet premiere and being in the same room and watching the first two episodes with them, because that honestly was a phenomenal experience. And I'm thinking that for the future, I am hoping that we get a season 2. The reason why I'm hoping, I at first I was like, I really hope they wrap it up, but at the same time, I'm like, if we get a season 2, that would be great, because we could dive deeper into, you know, these characters, maybe dive deeper into Vader's, into Vader's point of view in the second season. But this last episode has a lot to wrap up. But not only do we get to see a flashback of this, we get to see a flashback of Order 66. And this is also really cool of them
Those
using clones
cool.
in actual armor. I mean, like actors in actual armor. It's not CGI anymore. Of the clones, it's like people in actual armor. And there was actually a
budget now.
There was actually a behind the scenes video of them filming a Jedi taking down clones, and all the clones were in armor, and I'm like, that's incredible. But then watching this and seeing the clones like walk with him, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. And I just never thought I would ever see something like this come to be, since I was a kid. But last week I was calling it. I was like, flashbacks are coming. There's no way they would do the show without flashbacks. I would be blown away if they didn't do it. And
this raises a question for me, actually. A weird question, but a question. How much was Anakin walking around the temple during Order 66 on Coruscant with just an entire clone escort detail?
He was walking everywhere on the actual property of the Jedi Temple. He was, you know, going to different corridors left and right. He not only that, sure. You know, he would go to different Jedi sleeping quarters, including Shaak Ti's, and so it was a full scale raid of the Jedi Temple with Vader and the 501st.
Mm-hmm. My question though is, like, in the prequels in number 3, I believe, right, where they pull up the scene where he's killing the younglings, he doesn't have an escort detail with him there. So no. I wonder how much of that raid he did sort of like on his own, going off and killing like rogue Jedi, like thinking about who he could and could not handle, like in a fight. And then I don't know. I wonder what his like target priorities were for that whole thing, because now seeing him walk up and attack a bunch of younglings with another clone escort detail, I don't know, it's kind of neat. It's kind of fascinating to see him walk like that. It's very reminiscent of the first time we see Order 66, where he's walking up the stairs of the temple with the full battalion of clone troopers. Oh, such a good shot.
Yeah. Something else as well is I knew we would get something with Order 66, or a big battle of some sorts, which everyone knew when they dropped right before you get the recap and everything. They actually have a caption saying, you know, parental discretion is advised. And it's like, oh, okay. It's like, oh, okay. Like of that warning, it's like, okay, something big is going to happen where it's going to be very, very violent. And this is the first time we've ever got something like that in front of a Star Wars episode of Mando or anything, as far as I know.
I don't wonder if we won't see that in every episode. I suspect what happened is that kids have been watching this series and they saw something like what happened to Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 3 and like lost it.
That, and
That's
they
just
also
that's
did
it.
that for Stranger Things too. For the fourth season of Stranger Things because of the shooting that happened recently, like
Yeah.
that happened in Texas, like right away as soon as
Mm.
Stranger Things came up there, they ended up putting up that warning. Uh, and it makes sense. It makes sense because Order 66 is very very tragic.
Yeah.
And it's an awful event. It's the darkest. It is the darkest thing that has happened in Star Wars history. Um, but and there's so much ground to cover during
Canonically.
that time from the period of Order 66 all the way to to A New Hope. And I don't think this is the last that we'll save Order 66. I think we'll definitely explore more of it. And
Yeah.
all these new, games and shows coming out is a fine example. I think in Ahsoka, I think we'll definitely see a tiny bit more. I think we'll see it in I think we might see it in the Bad Batch season 2 and Jedi Fall Jedi Survivor.
Almost certainly. I would love to see who's that Wookiee Jedi.
Gunji?
Is it Gunji?
Gunji, yeah.
Yeah, Gunji. I wonder if we'll see his perspective of Order 66. That would be interesting.
That would be terrifying. I would be
I would really love to
Oh
see like what
no,
his
no.
experience of it would be like. Yeah.
I,
Watch the whole squad of like younglings and the Padawans who
yeah, I
got
don't want to
their
see that.
lightsaber crystals in the episode get mercilessly gunned down by clone troopers.
Yeah,
That would be wild.
that would be terrifying.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious though. Like, I'm curious how many of them made it out. I'm curious what Gunji's like does in the future, past Bad Batch season 2.
Well, there's a chance he might not make it, Mason.
That is true.
There also might be a tie-in into Kenobi of where maybe Quinlan Voss shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right. So going back to Kenobi, we have the flashback. It goes to Vader on the Star Destroyer. Vader appoints Reva as the new Grand Inquisitor, which later we find out is a lie. It's a deception. The Sith is all about deception. And then we get to the planet and we see our old friend from the second episode. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is confused on why he is there. I can't think of his name for the life of me. And the reason why I can't remember because to me he was a cool character, but I don't think he put it that big of an impact on me. So I don't think that's one reason why
Guy
I
who
didn't
is
remember.
faking to be a Jedi.
Yeah, him.
I will look up his name right now.
Yeah, I know. Please do, because that makes me look bad, but it's fine. Because it's just like there are characters that leave an impact on me where I'm like I remember them, but his was just I never thought we would see him on screen again. So it was funny to see his character again. I was like, oh, okay, cool, he's back. But we see him back. He is there. He's saying like, oh hey, like, I'm here because I'm wanted by the Empire now. And then they're about to escape. The Star Destroyer comes in and they send in a huge the Empire sends in a huge battalion of stormtroopers, which I guarantee most of them, or half of them at least, are members of the 501st. So go us. That's awesome. For my fellow members of the 501st, my brothers and sisters, that's awesome. And then we get the scene of where Obi-Wan comes up to the door. He talks to Reva. We find out her intentions, and the theory was right, which was she was a Padawan during Order 66, and Vader slaughtered all of her friends, and she wants revenge, which is very, very sad.
I feel like I called that from episode 1. I feel like I had that call right there. I was like, I knew it.
A lot of
She
people
was the
called
person.
it. A lot of people called it. because of that. Honestly, made the most sense to why they would show that scene. I think it would be weird not to show that opening scene and then it's end up being someone else. But I loved the fact that we got these flashbacks. This is something I've been wanting for a long time.
Me. I can't find it on the search engine. One sec.
The new, like, just different perspectives of these characters are just phenomenal. And then we are getting different kind of takes on that training session with Obi-Wan and Anakin, and how it's a lesson that Anakin really never learned. That he never kind of soaked up the knowledge from Obi-Wan, and when Obi-Wan was trying to teach him. And I think my theory for this is this fight, this battle, this training session they're having maybe might take place just before he sees before they go and see Padme and attack the clones. Maybe they're just getting back from a mission and they're like, oh hey, we need to go and do this thing for Padme, and then that leads into the events of Attack of the Clones, which I think is kind of a cool tie-in, but that's just my theory. Because he's still wearing the training braids, so it happens, maybe around that time. And when Reva then,
I got it. It's Haja. His name is Haja.
Haja, there you go.
There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry it took so long. I'll go back and watch the episode.
But yeah, no, I'm thinking that we'll definitely get more flashbacks in the next episode. Like maybe not as much, but just glimpses and things. Maybe not more of Order 66, but maybe a different moment with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Maybe in the Clone Wars. Something that they were talking about. Like there's a rumor going around, and David James and I were talking about earlier, which was they could definitely do a Clone Wars series of where they where they could have Hayden and Ewan, and then have Ahsoka and some of the actors come in, but they could do untold stories of the Clone Wars. That's what I would want. For example, how Anakin got his scar. How Commander Wolf lost his eye, things like that. I think that would be really, really cool. Like as a short series on Disney Plus.
They could almost do it like What If for the Marvel series.
Yeah.
Cool. Like a small collection of episodes that are like solely based around these little things that happen.
Yeah.
I would love to see the an example of the Mandalorian challenge for earning your J guys would be really cool. I would love to see what that historical process looks like in Mandalore and how people get those. And I would like to know what determined for Rex when he was ready to have his. I don't know if that's something exclusive to Mandalorian culture or if clones are sort of indoctrinated into that because they spawned from a Mandalorian donor for clones. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, Kenobi's.
Yeah, you're fine. You're good. So then we go, hey Liam, hey Maka, hey everyone. So after that, we end up going over to what I thought was phenomenal. Was she then, is talking to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan is trying to convince her to, like, it seems like he's using her to escape, which is really, that's kind of twisty in my opinion for Obi-Wan to do that. But I think, and maybe in his mind, he's just like, you know what? I need to save Leia at all costs. And we know that he talks to, he gets a message from Bail Organa saying, hey, haven't heard from a bit, but if I don't hear from you, and they find out, that means that Luke is also in danger too. Which when Bale does relay that message, I was very surprised that Bale wasn't more worried about Leia. He was very calm in that message. But Reva gets upset. She
Well, I can
uses her.
imagine. I can imagine Bale has to keep a face for the public, right? So if anyone's going to be really good at acting and concealing their feelings, it's probably going to be Bale Organa, who goes toe to toe with the Empire in the Senate arena, like every day for Alderaan. So it makes sense that he'd be able to sort of keep face like that.
So they end up. The Empire ends up breaching the door. They go in. We see purge troopers, stormtroopers just storming the base.
So good.
And
I really like that like grenade launcher thing that they have.
Yeah, there's
I want
so
more about
much
that. The
going
cannon.
on.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love that we got to see ammunition get loaded into it. That was crazy. We don't get to see that a lot in Star Wars.
No, that also was the E-Web cannon, which we've seen on multiple occasions throughout Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, on the Clone Wars, Battlefront 2, Mandalorian.
That was because the E-Web is the automatic one, right? That goes.
Was that not the E-Web?
No, it wasn't the E-Web. It was a
okay.
different.
Well, either way, man, it was
device.
Cool.
They had a different name for it, I think. But yeah, it was so cool. I love to see them load actual like Tabana fueled like thermal detonator ammunition into it, like an artillery cannon, and just watch it like singe through that door. It's so good.
And how did you feel about some of the characters dying and not making it? I was kind of surprised, but at the same time, I was like, well, we don't know half of these characters like during the original trilogy, so I figured they would not make it. And that's why I'm worried about the Bad Batch.
One in particularly affected me. What was her name? Gala?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the Imperial officer, right?
Yeah.
That was actually a really sad and traumatic death, I think, for me. Like that got the waterworks going, because it's true we don't know enough about her. Like we haven't met her at all. I'm so sorry if my mic picks this up. It's storming outside.
Well, I mean, that and you're kind of glitchy, but it's the weather, dude. You're fine.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that, y'all. In any case, I feel like we've learned enough about her in this series to kind of know what kind of person she is, what kind of sacrifices she's made in her life, because we've seen a lot of these characters in Star Wars, especially within recent history since Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilms and LucasArts in general. We have seen a lot of turncoat Imperials. And we've seen a lot of their stories, and a lot of them have similar themes and elements that are going on. You know, these people who are joining up and working their butts off to make the galaxy a better place, right? And then somehow, some way, they find out that the Empire is bad, and they turn and do something different. But that sacrifice that they make is never lost on me, because they know what's at risk all the time. They know exactly what could happen to them when they do that. So when you see someone like that actually die on screen, giving their life for exactly the thing that they know could happen to them, I feel like there's something very noble about that, and something that sort of strikes a chord with people. And then everyone loves a good droid companion. Oh my god, it was so much fun watching. I can't remember the droid's name. The loader.
Oh my gosh, dude, he was launching like stormtroopers. Like he lifted one up to the ceiling and punched the other one. The guy went flying. I was like, why haven't we seen these guys? And I was like, dang, bro.
Dude, he was crazy. He was throwing stormtroopers around the room left and right.
Yeah. So they end up.
Droid death is always very sad, because they're kind of like puppies, right? In Star Wars, some of them, we kind of see them as pets in a way, right?
Yeah. So I loved the fact that that we got to hear Another classic Obi-Wan Kenobi line, which we haven't heard him say from the Phantom Menace, which was no, because
Oh yeah.
when the door was closing, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, boom, Phantom Menace, Qui-Gon Jinn dying. I was like,
Yeah,
shoot,
no, that's very
flashback.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's running towards the door like he was running towards the ratio and stopped in, I think, somewhat of a similar manner.
Yeah.
I noticed that until just now.
Yep. And then they end up getting in there. And Leia is up in the vents. She's like, "Hey, I can do it. I'm small." And there was also a scene. There's also a scene of where you see Obi-Wan go through like the different lightsaber hilts and robes that were handed there. And I don't think anyone has identified any of those lightsaber hilts yet. I may be mistaken. But yeah.
We should definitely do you have the image of that? Can you pull up the image of that?
If you keep talking, I can.
Okay, yeah, for sure. There's one thing that I actually would bring up really quick. Before we go into these lightsaber hilts, can we talk about how they spent all that time and effort using that new cannon to try and blow a hole through the door, and then the third sister just walked up to the door with her lightsaber and cut completely clean through it?
Yeah.
What was the point? What was the point of wasting the ammunition, the manpower to get through that door? Why go through all of the effort just to I don't know. That seemed kind of weird to me. That was a weird decision, I guess. There had to be some way to, I guess, for that to escalate into that big fight that it was supposed to be. And obviously the gun wasn't doing it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was just funny how she just waltzed up to the door, activated her lightsaber, went right through it, and just one clean motion, the door's open. It's like, well, we could have just started with that.
Yeah. I can't hear. Tell you what, I'll keep talking. You trying to find the lightsabers. Because I think Liam is right. I think there has to be at least one lightsaber that we know that belongs to someone. But
yeah, I'll try and find a timestamp for you.
Yeah, but we end up getting all the way to Obi-Wan not sacrificing himself, but kind of turning himself in to hold Vader out before he gets to the survivors. And he then convinces Reva in a kind of twisted way of
Got it.
oh, cool, excellent.
Actually,
twisted way.
I think there are some that we can recognize. I feel like I've seen some of these before.
Okay, well,
timestamp is going to be 6:45 on the episode.
Okay, my phone just died, so I can't look anything up. Well, but I love the fact that we are getting more darker and grittier, and this is the darkest, and probably because of just seeing a big battle like this, seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi in action again was really cool. And just re-seeing Order 66 from a different point of view is really crazy to me. I never thought that I would just see these different versions, or not different versions, but different aspects and point of views of Order 66. And we then get this crazy scene of Obi-Wan leaves. He ends up getting on the ship, and then also Leia just takes off the droid restraining bolt off of Luma. Not Luma, Lola. And then the droid goes back to normal. So I was like, okay, wow, that was really easy. I thought that was going to be a big.
I know. Has that always
plot
been a thing that
where she
Imperials have
would,
just been able to do with
yeah,
droids? I feel
yeah.
like if that was the case, so many problems could have been like prevented. Like, I don't know, the two droids that were stowaways with the plans to the Death Star on them. I don't know. That just feels kind of weird. Like, couldn't Boba Fett in the original trilogy had just put, one of those restraining bolts on C-3PO or R2-D2 and like turn him into like a spy or something?
Well, invent a time machine and tell George Lucas that, but things change
I wish you
throughout
to do
time.
that.
Uh, But they all end up getting to a ship. Vader comes there and he's like, "Hey, where's Obi-Wan?" She tells Vader that he's waiting inside, and he's like, "I'll handle it myself," as Vader does. He doesn't like the help, and it's especially when it's necessary. But he's like, "Nope, I got this." He walks in. We get this vibe from Force Unleashed, where Star Killer is using the Force to hold the ship. We also get the vibe from Rise of Skywalker, where Rey is holding the ship, which our friend Brad was talking to me about it earlier. But we end up getting this shot where he holds the ship, and my brother Chase, he texted me saying when he saw that scene, he thought that they would be in the ship when he would pull it down and he pulled it open, and then he thought it was going to be a fight. But when he saw the scene, did you think they were in the ship?
Um, that's a great question. I don't know if I was necessarily thinking about it. As the ship was taking off, the only thing that I could really think of is, oh my God, we're actually seeing Darth Vader do it. It's canon now. Like, really powerful Force users can hold starships in place, which, as much as I hate to admit it, opens up the possibility for something we were talking about last time I was on here, which is potentially Starkiller. I'm not going to go that far right off the rip, but as soon as I saw the ship hit the ground, there was no doubt in my mind that there was no one on board. I kind of assumed, though we don't see another transport in the background right away, I kind of figured something was up. I feel like Obi-Wan Kenobi has sort of been ahead of the game for this entire episode. And I feel like for that to be ripped away now, after all that work, would have been like a really big setback in the plot, right?
I feel like he is learning from his earlier mistakes.
100%. Yeah,
But he pulls the ship to the ground. He rips it open with the Force, getting
so
ready to
good.
take everyone down in his way just to get to
Absolute
Obi-Wan.
power move. That
Yeah,
was so good.
yeah. And then he's not even on there, and he's like, he is kind of stunned, and you see his head kind of move and look off in the distance, and then you see the other transport take off. And then right there, I bet he feels like a fool. I bet he's just like, "Oh man, like come on." That has to be one of the oldest tricks in the book. Like, come
Again.
on, man. Like, and I compare the plan that Obi-Wan and Reva came up with to The Last Jedi, of where they were trying to do what Rey and Kylo did. Well, mainly what Kylo did, which was he used Snoke's anger and frustration, and pride to and he was using that distraction to defeat him. And that's exactly how Snoke got killed, was because Snoke was so blinded by victory and blinded by the pride of winning. And that got him killed. And they were trying to use that with Vader, but not Vader, being blinded by victory, but being blinded by hatred for Obi-Wan, and that being his main focus. But Vader was also a step ahead of the game, because he saw through Reva the entire time. Because they have this, because she tries and does a sneak attack, and first off, he doesn't even use his lightsaber. He uses her lightsabers, And
Oh god, it's so good. Where he
uh,
grabs it and rips it in half and
yeah,
throws her the one on the ground. I was
uh,
like, oh no, Vader's about to beat her butt. Yikes.
something else as well. Something else as well is we get this other cool shot uh, of Vader kind of like dodging of the lightsaber attacks, and then he actually uses the Force to move her hand and the lightsaber and then push it away. And it was like, wow, that's a cool new dance move. No, but uh, I loved the fact that Vader like wasn't even trying. He was just kind of like dodging and weaving, and then he uses the Force to stop her saber from spinning, breaks it in half, has the two lightsabers in his hand, throws one of them back on the ground, is like, pick it up, I want a challenge, because
Was
he's upset because he never got to fight Obi-Wan. So he's like, you
there
know what? I'm gonna fight you.
there's a couple of things I wanted to bring up. First of all, have we ever seen one of those spin blades be stopped by the Force? Just pure Force.
Not Force. We have seen them get, sliced and
Right.
and everything.
Yeah, cut in half. And there's another thing I want to bring up in regards to Vader and Obi-Wan. We see a lot of the manipulation of the Jedi by the Sith because the Sith know what the Jedi's weakness is, compassion, right?
Yep.
And that's something that we always see manipulated on screen. It's something that the Sith always talk about because the Sith are always at the disadvantage. They always need to manipulate the Jedi to defeat them. But I think one of the first times we finally got to see a Jedi who felt that he had to use and manipulate the Sith based off of their principles to defeat them. Just kind of what you were talking about with how Obi-Wan, quote unquote, manipulated Reva to fight Vader and go against Vader. I think that's really, really interesting how we see that turn of the coin. Oh, sorry about that. Collins off on something. Well, let me know when y'all think, guys. I'm very curious if we're going to be seeing this again, especially now that obviously Kenobi's on the run. We're gonna have to see another intersection between him and Vader at some point, I feel. I do think I really am holding on to the fact that we're going to get another fight between Obi-Wan and Vader. So I'm just curious to see how that gets led up to.
Oh yeah, dude. No doubt. No doubt we are gonna see a fight between them. Because this is the fight that Kathleen Kennedy has been talking about since they talked about doing the series, which was the rematch of a century, is what she kept saying.
I wanted to ask you, Colin. I wanted your opinion on this. What is your So I was talking a little bit ago about how now for the first time, and I don't know if it's the first time we've seen it ever, but now that the Jedi have severely dwindled in numbers, we're starting to see not just the Sith manipulating the Jedi, but the Jedi now starting to manipulate the Sith based on planets. And
They
it's
are
something that we were talking about with Reva, how Obi-Wan sort of manipulated her into going and turning on Vader and going after him.
right.
Or how Obi-Wan manipulated Vader, knowing, who Anakin was as a person and what the Sith want, power and victory. I really find it interesting that they were able to turn that coin on its head.
Yes, I agree. Because these aren't the Jedi that we remember. And Obi-Wan is not the only Jedi that has changed. And something else that there's still a lot that I really really want to talk about, but one big thing from this fight that I loved was that we've never seen Vader use two lightsabers in his hand
Oh
like this
yeah.
since the prequels and the Clone Wars, and that was really really cool to see. But the theory that that everyone had, and honestly, it would have been the dumbest thing, which I talked about in the last episode, which was the Grand Inquisitor is alive. He's not dead. He's alive. There's no way that they would have changed his story because he plays a big part in Star Wars Rebels season 1. So that would be pointless. That honestly would be pointless to rewrite that. And you just got him strolling up and being like, "Hey, Grand Inquisitor," like kind of mocking her and being like, "We knew your plan the
donut in
entire
front of her
time."
face.
Yeah. But seeing him and Vader right next to each other is really, really cool to me.
Oh
Like,
yeah. I want more of the Grand Inquisitor. Like I said, I want to see a Grand Inquisitor that is actually useful, not getting punked on every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I would, you know what? I would even go as far to say that I would like to see a show based around the Grand Inquisitors, like watching them go and hunt down rebel cells, or like cells of Jedi. Like see the cells of the rebellion that didn't succeed.
They are talking about doing
squadrons.
They are talking about doing a spin-off show for Reva, and I could see them doing that where it could take place in present day, where like she's kind of trying to find the balance of of being an old dark side user, but then also trying to find her way back to the light. And that would be a really cool way to tie in what of course, Josh and I are big fans of this, but mainly Josh, of it would be a big tie-in to Jedi Fallen Order of where
I was gonna say be a great place to showcase Cal Kestis. That's like right in his element from what I've seen so far of the game.
Yeah. But I think that the final episode is going to tie in a lot of the future. There's a great theory that Josh came up with, which I completely missed it. And this is really, really cool. But how cool would it be if she goes, like somehow she goes to go and kill Vader, but Darth Maul is there, and then Maul, tries to, kill, because of the theory that Josh had was somehow
that would be so sick.
Right, his
I think
saber
I get where you're going.
Yeah, his saber is half of a Inquisitor saber.
Yeah.
How did he get that?
Oh,
there's a half of
You think Maul is gonna finish off Reva and take part of her lightsaber?
Right.
Oh,
that is an interesting theory that Josh came off of. I was describing it horribly, but yeah.
Think about the implications. Like, what if we got to see a fight between Vader and Darth Maul? Could you imagine how insane that would be?
Yeah. Trust me, I know, man.
At the prime of their power. Oh man, that'd be so good. And I would really like to see that, because that would give Maul a reason to have gone into hiding for so long. Is like, oh wow, this Sith, like if he gets beat by Vader, he's gonna be like, oh, obviously the Sith is much more powerful than I am. I need to hide him so he doesn't come hunting me down, right? So, what a matchup of a century that would be. Or to watch Vader and Maul work together to go hunt down Obi-Wan. Oh my god, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah. And then we get her, she ends up surviving from the stab wound from Vader again. just like she got back in Order 66, and she crawls over and she sees um, the hologram device that Hadra dropped, and she picks it up and she sees the message that Bail left to Obi-Wan. So now she knows that and she did meet Owen, so she knows exactly who he is and in all of that. And she will probably go to Tatooine, try and draw Vader out and Obi-Wan out, because now she's probably mad at Obi-Wan, and now she wants revenge on Obi-Wan and Vader. But I don't think Vader will go to Tatooine. And this is something I saw Liam and RFB were talking about in the chat here, where they were talking about how it just wouldn't make sense, because Vader doesn't find out, and this is something that our friend Brad and I were talking about earlier, which was, is this how Vader finds out that he has a son? And the answer is no. That would just ruin the entire timeline, because he finds out after the Battle of Yavin and A New Hope, and Vader hires Boba Fett to find the person that blew up the Death Star, and Boba, finds out who it is. He gets the name and tells Vader, and it's Luke Skywalker. And that's how Vader finds out that Luke is his son, and that that his kid didn't die during childbirth with Padme, and it was based on a lie. And I think Reva will end up going back to Tatooine, but I don't, and then Obi-Wan and her will have a standoff there. I don't think Vader will have anything to do with it. I think Vader and Obi-Wan will have a fight on the Star Destroyer or on the ship or something, but I'm guessing that Leia gets back to Alderaan safe and sound, and because if which Vader doesn't know Leia's there, he has no idea. That was because of Vader doesn't know if there's really any connection between him. I mean, between Leia and Obi-Wan, he doesn't know anything about that. He does know Obi-Wan and Bail were friends, but other than that, he really doesn't know. But if Vader, suspected anything, he would have killed Bail a while ago. So I don't think we have anything to worry about that. But there's a scene in Star Wars Rebels, which is a spoiler alert, of where there's the whole holocron thing of the episode of where Ezra goes to Tatooine, goes to find Obi-Wan to warn him about Maul trying to kill him, and when Ezra brings that idea up to Rex, Rex says that it was stated by Bail that Obi-Wan was killed. Now we don't know exactly how Bail said the story, so we don't know if it's oh, hey, he died during the purge, or hey, he died later, because maybe this is how we find out, how all these years after the events of Kenobi, that they thought that he was dead. So most likely Obi-Wan's death will be faked in this, and everyone will believe it. I think Vader will still sense a presence, but at the same time, I think he will be so blinded by his victory and this one, and and something that Mason and I were talking about earlier too, which Maul won't show up in Tatooine. Maul doesn't know anything about Kenobi. I don't think Maul will have anything to do, which we've definitely talked about in the past, but Maul has nothing to do with Kenobi. Maul has no idea about Kenobi at this point. I think that that Reva will stumble into. I think that maybe Reva could stumble into Kenobi, and then that's how, and into Maul, and then Maul defeats her, and then that's how he gets the saber. But who knows? It's just a theory that Josh came up with, and I think it could work.
Say this. I think we see Maul kill some Inquisitors on screen in Rebels.
Yes.
So it's very possible he went and recovered the pieces from their bodies.
Right, but how cool would it be
if it were Revas?
Right, because
Yeah,
that would be a huge tie-in, and honestly, I would love to see Maul in this show because it's like he plays a big
Everyone wants
part
to see Maul.
of
Maul.
of Kenobi's life,
and
we probably won't
for
see
the like trifecta of Kenobi hate coming together between Darth Vader, Maul, and Obi-Wan. It just seemed a little far-fetched though, and I feel like we would have heard about some kind of casting leak or other if either Ray Park or oh god,
he's been saying stuff for a while. So honestly, I could just see him, saying, that oh yeah, I'm not in it, because for a while there were a lot of things that they said, oh yeah, we're not doing this, and they ended up doing it. But I think that that Maul could make a cameo. I could definitely see Maul making a cameo in this as a prisoner of Vader, and then Vader tormenting him, because we know Maul was in custody of the Empire for a while, and we don't know how he got captured or anything, and maybe the end of this could be Maul escaping from that prison, and then we see him kind of go to the Sith world of Korriban. I mean, wait, is it Korriban that they end up going to, or is it? Either way, it's a Sith home.
Yeah, it was Korriban where they they fought the Inquisitors, I believe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool,
where they
cool.
found the ancient Sith temple and it turned into the super weapon.
Right. So and then that could lead to the events of where Maul is stranded on that planet for a while. And he's like, he falls more into that darkness.
That makes sense why there would be Sith Inquisitors after him in the first place. Because when
exactly,
him,
and that would be like a cool, exit
cameo
of the series, and that would be a great way to bring Maul in. And we know that Ray Park, he still got it. He still has the moves. He still has it. So I think that would be like a great exit scene. Besides Obi-Wan, of being like, okay, I've done everything. I'm gonna go back to being an old man living in the desert. But Luke is gonna play some part in this next episode. We don't know how. I could see Reva maybe coming in and going to Tatooine, and Obi-Wan and Reva have a fight, like having a battle near the homestead, and she tries to draw out Vader, but then Obi-Wan defeats her in time. I don't know how it's gonna go down. I think I love Josh's theory of somehow Maul getting her saber. I think that would be cool. But again, we don't know. We don't know exactly what's gonna happen. Honestly, there's been no leaks of what the final episode is gonna be like. And all of the footage that we've seen from the trailers has already, happened in the show. So at this point, we don't know what's going to happen. We have no idea what's going down. And I'm very, very excited for it. I'm nervous because if it doesn't tie in everything, then there's going to be season 2, or it's just going to be,
we're left with those loose ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be unfortunate.
Yeah. I don't know. We will have to.
All right, RFB. I got you, Rural Farm Boy. I see you following those deep spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
thank you for doing the work out there.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Yeah. I've heard things comment that excites me. I'm excited to see what's coming up next.
There's also the difference between rumors and leaks. It really depends on the source. Liam's asking if there's going to be season 2. I think that there's a possibility. For sure.
100%. Yeah. I mean, think about how much love we saw Hayden and Ewan get at Star Wars Celebration alone. So I think their popularity alone as actors could potentially like push them into getting a season 2. We'll just have to see where things go. We'll have to see how this series finishes off. I think there's a lot of factors at work. Like, we'll have to see how the series finishes off. A, B, like what the ratings are for it and how popular the show gets. So far, so good. And then we'll also have to see if those actors are willing to go out and do it, which I'm sure they will be. But if not, then we could probably put season 2 on ice for a while.
Yeah, but the last couple episodes were, the third one, and I was gonna say, how well do you think this series has been received, through the audience? Because
Great so far.
I've got mixed reviews. I thought the last episode would have been great for flashbacks, but I'm glad that they worked the flashbacks in this one, because all I wanted to see was the main thing from the series was flashback scenes, and them dealing with the trauma, from the past.
So,
and I think we'll see more of it.
Yeah. I agree. I hope we see more of it. I wonder if the director Deborah Chow wanted to move away from the idea of like doing flashbacks in the back to tank thing, in lieu of like trying not to make that a thing in Star Wars, something that's like open and expected. Because that was one of the things that got a lot of lashback from the fans.
Yeah.
In Book of Boba Fett. But I mean, I don't know. In short, I think what was the question again?
How do you think the series is being perceived by fans?
Okay, right.
Like,
from what I've
do you
heard,
think it's doing better than Book of Boba Fett? We know it's not doing it as good as Mando, because nothing will ever be good as Mando. But yeah,
I heard that when it came out, it was breaking records for highest viewed piece of content on Disney Plus. So I think that already says a lot. And I've heard mostly positive reviews from fans, to be 100% honest. Obviously, there are things to not like, but I think those are things to not like in the short term. And I think once the full series is out and people can watch it episode back to back to back, I think they'll appreciate it more. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, those are our main, like, our main thoughts and our main predictions on of Kenobi. But we have semi big topic to talk about, which is the new series that Taika is doing, and
it's a shame Josh couldn't be here for this.
Yeah,
this is like this is his crusade.
What? Okay, never mind.
This is like the thing he's excited about.
Oh yeah. Because of there's a chance that that the movie that he's working on will not be released in 2023. They haven't even started filming yet.
Mm-hmm.
He is still working on the story. And this man is busy. He has 2 big movies coming out this year, which is Thor, Thor: Love and Thunder, and Buzz Lightyear, and both of them are coming out very, very close to each other. We don't know what the actual movie will be about, but there's a quote from him which says he is talking about on the release date and how the film is coming along. He says, "That's yet to be seen. I don't know. I'm still writing. I'm still coming up with the ideas and storylining it, and just wanted to make sure that it feels like a Star Wars film because I could say, oh yeah, we'll just write any old thing and set it in space and then put Star Wars in front of it. But it wouldn't be Star Wars film without certain elements and certain treatment. So I've just got to make sure that it stays within that wheelhouse." And that is what I love. I love a director when they know there's a fine blueprint for a film. All right. Ryan Johnson didn't follow that blueprint, and that's why I didn't do well. Sorry, James. Sorry for the Last Jedi fans. I mentioned this a lot. I'm sorry. It's just like that's the one movie where they just butchered it and they missed. They missed the shot,
I
man.
agree.
Like it was right there. It was all laid out in front of them. Episode 9 was going to be incredible. It probably would have been one of the best Star Wars movies of all time, but because Ryan Johnson messed up, it messed up the entire the entire blueprint.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to follow the blueprint for Star Wars films. You have to follow it. Shows, everything. You got to follow that blueprint. You have to use the things that are in front of you. Because if you
I
don't,
love
you'll get
Taika
the Last Jedi.
Waititi's dedication to the series as well.
Yeah.
You got to love a director who appreciates and is a fan of what he's writing for, and knows the rules to write about it. And the thing that I like to hear is that he wants to make it feel like a Star Wars film, because I feel like we need more of that, especially coming out of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. And then we're also gonna get we are gonna get more stuff at D23 for all the new Star Wars projects they were talking about. So a lot of the stuff that we saw at Celebration, we'll get more at D23, but we'll also get more, probably different shots, probably a new trailer for different shows coming out. And we might get a sneak peek at Taika's new movie. There's a lot to explore. There's a lot to do in the Star Wars universe at this point. And we'll probably see more stuff for Ahsoka, which Hayden Christensen is pretty much confirmed to be in that show, including Vader. So most likely we'll see flashbacks in that, or we'll see the world between worlds thing like we talked about, which I think that's going to happen. Because first off, that like vibe is in the logo. Second, in the trailer, we see her walking through an old temple. So I think it might be another portal into that dimension, which that's going to be mind blowing, because seeing that in Rebels was crazy. I remember watching that. I was like, wait, what? Oh, it's just a cartoon. But then I was like, wait, no, this is canon. All this is canon. So it's like, holy crap. And it's going to be very, very interesting. If that ends up happening. Yeah.
I want to see live action Chopper so bad. I want live action Chopper. I really, really do.
Well, if you were at Celebration, you would have saw it on stage.
I know.
For the very first time.
I did. I did see the clip of him.
Yeah.
Our little war criminal droid out here making moves. Yeah. Going up.
Yeah.
From animation to film. I can't wait to see all of the characters from Star Wars Rebels live action. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. And something else that RFP, you aren't the first person to say this. I've seen it online kind of floating around, but it's saying that that the people at home that didn't get to see all the trailers and stuff that was at Star Wars Celebration this year will be shown at D23. Now, I think that's true for some of it. I don't think we'll. I think we might get something very similar to what we got at Celebration, but I think there will be a lot of different things, because at this point we'll already have Andor, because Andor's coming out on the 31st of August. Very exciting stuff. Not that far away, only a couple of months away. And then we're also getting season 2 of Bad Batch shortly after Andor. So those two shows will already be out, so I don't think we'll see anything like that. I'm hoping to see like a big trailer for Ahsoka. I think that
But
would be really cool.
I will say the Andor trailer and the Bad Batch trailer were both trailers that were public access.
So what you say is true from a certain point of view because of we got more things at Celebration than you guys did because of the
Right.
trailer for Bad Batch that you see online is not even it's very similar, but there's a lot of missing footage from that trailer that's online now that was actually at Celebration. Because of in the trailer over at Celebration, there's an actual scene of where Cody and Crosshair are talking in front of the memorial over in Coruscant, and you
That's
don't see
cool.
that in the trailer.
That is
and
awesome.
and for Andor, yeah, and for Andor, I think you're right on that. I think we will see that. I
heard mention of it.
Yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to. I think we might get something for Skeleton Crew. I think we will get the actual trailer for Tales of the Jedi, which I'm very excited about. That show looks amazing because it's diving deep into Dooku. Just think about all the new Star Wars content we're getting this year. It's like Star Wars is more popular than it's ever been. And a couple of years ago in 2019, I was like, oh my gosh, all these Star Wars movies. Now we're getting Star Wars shows left and right. And not just, these animated shows, but live action. We got Hayden and Ewan back on screen again. Never in a million years did I think we would ever see these guys again. Like, look at them. They are phenomenal and they love these characters.
The lightsabers look so good. Oh my god.
That is why these actors keep coming back is because of the fans and I mean and it's not just the pay. It really is because of the fans. And you could definitely tell that at Celebration of them coming out on stage and talking to when they were talking to Anthony Carboni and Andy Gutierrez. Sorry, I apologize. I messed up her name. But yeah, no. It is phenomenal. To see all these characters and actors come back play these wonderful people that have helped change so many lives just popping up on the screen. I was actually talking to my aunt earlier today because she's the one that got me into Star Wars. I call her Aunt Beru, and we've both been busy. So on my way from work, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call her because I haven't told her about my experiences at Celebration, and she was helping me relive the story of when I first watched Star Wars when I was like 3 years old, and my dad was, it sounded like he was kind of opposed to the idea first of me watching Star Wars. He's like, what, really, Star Wars? Are you sure the kids are okay to watch that? And she's like, yeah, trust me. And it sounded like my brother and Chase were just, oh, it's just another movie. But I was glued to the screen, and then and it just kept adding to it. So it's so crazy what Star Wars can do for the fans and for everyone. And I'm very excited this year because there's so much more Star Wars content coming out, and not just the
man,
shows,
the women, and the children too.
No, there's also stuff coming to the parks. We are getting because right now Disneyland has Boba and Fennec. Later this year, we are getting Mando and Grogu over at Disneyland, not at Hollywood. But there's going to be the new Bounty Hunter experience coming out. There's not a release date for it. It will be later this fall, but that looks super cool of the details that they have shown. And just more stuff, just more interactions with Star Wars, just across the world, honestly, is okay with me. Because being a 3-year-old and thinking, hey, all of this stuff is just a movie, to now where we are in life, and we're just experiencing Star Wars 24/7. I am now just not experiencing Star Wars at home. I'm experiencing it everywhere I go. And I never thought I would ever work in in an environment where I would be surrounded by Star Wars 24/7. But here we are, and it's the podcast. It's my job. It's phenomenal.
It's
And
everything.
yeah,
It's literally everything in life right now.
yeah.
What a day to be alive.
Yeah. Yep. But with that being said, I think that's everything that we need to talk about. Yes, we know David has not been on here. It's because David is busy and he's, doing his best to save money up for Celebration London. I don't blame him. Which we don't know.
David is a coward and he's too afraid to show his face.
We also don't know when tickets are going on sale yet. That's something I'm waiting for. But London, it's going to be cool. I'm excited. But guys, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on Gmail, we're on Audible. And there's a lot of stuff coming to our Patreon. We just changed our tiers. Everything we do there is different. We have so much more content on there now. We have our private Discord. Go on there. Check it out. We're on there all the time.
Just want to say, use our code trial.com/stuffpodcast for the free book. Me and a couple boys are reading through Brotherhood at the moment. We should be doing a review of that on Patreon. I want to make an announcement about that now. Very, very excited to do a book review of that.
And through the Patreon, we are also going to get Mason new internet because his internet is terrible.
Stop insulting my internet. It's trying its hardest.
I'm sorry. What? I don't understand you. Dude, I'm sorry. I've waited all this time. You need to get new internet, bro. It's been so bad these past couple of times.
It's embarrassing. It's never happened. I swear.
Yeah, geez, man. Okay. And we're also on Twitch. Please check us out on Twitch. We love gaming on there. And then stay tuned for this Sunday for a announcement from our friend Bob Wills. And yeah, there is a lot of stuff that's going on. And we're on all the social media platforms. Go on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. Give us great reviews. By the way, if you see me anywhere, I may or may not have some merch for you. May or may not, because I carry these everywhere I go, just in case I run into a fan.
Talk about the coins.
What? Oh, coins.
Please talk about these. About what
What?
How they're the paint went on.
Oh, yeah. It's not bad. It's just like the paint on the coins are sulfur based.
Yeah.
And
so
yeah.
Careful. Don't recommend licking our coins.
I really would hope you wouldn't lick a coin in the first place. But yeah. So
no. Star Wars Stuff podcast, pretty cool. I can see why you want our podcast within your mouth. Why wouldn't you want it everywhere?
You just glitched so bad, and the only word anyone heard was mouth, bro. You need new
Probably
internet.
Best.
But with that being said, my name is Colin. That's Mason with terrible internet. I'm gonna keep calling you on it until you fix it. Guys, we love you so much. May the force be with you always. Maybe.